So today we'll follow the sequence of homilies that I will be giving in regards to the call to conversion, courageously living the gospel. So yesterday on the feast of the presentation of our Blessed Mother in the temple, I presented this project of the different presentations about this. And yesterday we focused in regards to the first goal. There are three goals that our bishop is setting forth. Three priorities. It's like the actual terminology I should use. The three priorities are: number one, we will place God first in all things. Number two, we will love as God loves and serve as Christ served. And number three, we will go and make disciples. Those are the pastoral priorities. Now, we started focusing on the first one. Priority number one, we will place God first in all things. Now, within that priority, there are 5 goals. Yesterday we talked about goal 1, which is throughout the diocese, we'll make all Sundays sacred. Mass. Make all Sundays, plural, sacred. By emphasizing the importance of the celebration of the Eucharist. Now, within this one goal, throughout the diocese, we will make all Sundays sacred, M-A-S-S, Mass, by emphasizing the importance of the celebration of the Eucharist. Within that goal, there are 3 calls for conversion. Yesterday, I spoke about the call to conversion number 1, which basically is to make an assessment of how each parish is doing their liturgies. Are they following the guidance of the church? Are they doing things as they're supposed to do? Are they following the general instruction of the Roman Missal and instructions that come from the liturgy? I remember a professor used to say, a liturgy is not a private matter. You cannot come up with your own ways of doing liturgy. There is set structures, there's set rules and indications of how you're to celebrate it. There's always places where creativity is open for the main celebrant, but it has to follow structure and guidelines given by the church. Now, so that would be the first call to conversion, to evaluate how each parish does a liturgy and see how they could do it better, do some training, some assessments, training for the ministers of Eucharist, the lectors, the altar servers, the priest himself. So that would be the first goal. Another call to conversion within that same goal, within the same goal of making all Sundays sacred and emphasizing the importance of the Eucharist. I'm going to read it. Call to conversion number 2. The office of construction and real estate and office of worship. Those are 3 offices, diocesan offices. Construction, real estate, and worship. Will assist parishes and schools to enhance their liturgical celebration by providing recommended standards of facilities as requested. So while the first call to conversion is an emphasis on, how we celebrate in the liturgy and how can we make it better, the second one is more of the things that are around the liturgy. Space, art, the technical support that is needed, the sound, the visual, all that makes the liturgy possible. But what could make the liturgy better or could make it worse? So one thing is to celebrate the liturgy as we were supposed to, but the other one is the things around the liturgy which can enhance it or make it worse. Within that call to conversion, in which the office of construction, the office of the real estate and the office of worship from the diocese would be helping parishes to enhance their liturgical celebration. There's 3 things. 1, these are the put it into action. Number 1, as requested by the parish, school, or diocesan bishop. So if the parish, the school, or the bishop is not requesting it, then that's it. But as requested, and surely we at St. Rita will request this, just in case. As requested, evaluate the current churches and oratories, chapels, of our parishes and school to understand their current practice with a clear appreciation to the community customs, the parish and school historical importance, and their financial needs. This specifically goes to the Office of Construction and Real Estate and the Office of Worship, the three of them. Let me give you an example. So, and as a pastor of St. Rita, I would request, could you make an evaluation of our parish building, our church building? So they will come in and they will probably say, okay, how many people come to Mass here? Well, what's the custom where they sit? Well, they will come to the 4 o'clock Mass and say, okay, perfect, everybody fits comfortably. They come to the 9 a.m. Mass and say, oh, okay, they have to open the curtain and have the social hall is used. They come to the Spanish Mass and say, oh my God, people are standing here. Okay, I guess we're going to have to start preparing for the possibility of expanding the church or building another church. I have no idea. That will be their job to figure out and make the recommendations. But the reality is, if you have been coming to Mass on Sundays, that we've come to the limit of the capacity of people who can sit here. So now the question is, what do we do? And when the construction office and the real estate office make the evaluation of the demographics of our community and see that in the next 10 years, well, probably less, in the next 5 years, we'll have a total increase of 10,000 family units. They're like, oh my goodness, Dade City is about to explode. They really need to get ready and welcome the people who will be moving into the neighborhood. So now the real estate office and the office of construction of the diocese will come, evaluate, and then make the recommendations. Notice it says it has to understand the current practices, like where do people sit, clear appreciation for community customs. Well, what are some of the customs? What is important for us? What is not? One of the customs that is important for us, we would like to provide coffee and donut after Mass on Sundays. Well, we don't have the space for that if everybody's sitting in the social hall. So that's a custom that needs to be addressed so that, okay, maybe we have to make it bigger so that the social hall could be used as it was intended to be, a social hall for socializing, for coffee and donut, for building community. Appreciation for community customs, historical importance. So for example, our stained glasses, those have historical value, where if this were to be expanded or another church were to be built, what are we going to do with the stained glasses? This has a historical importance to our community. So for example, when we went from the original building to this building, notice that the stained glasses were brought from the old building to the new building. Why? Because of a historical importance. Or the other one, financial needs. Well, that's a big one. Because we need to expand, but we don't have the money. So I wonder how the Office of Construction, of Real Estate, and the Office of Worship will provide recommendations of how to address that need. So that's put it into action, number one. A second one, putting into action, encourage the enhancement of lighting, audio, visual systems that are consistent throughout the whole diocese while still respecting the individual needs of the parish or the school. So you can have beautiful liturgies done according to the norms, but if you can't hear, the microphone system doesn't work well, or is it too dark and you can't see, or we have a projector that is right on top of the sanctuary area or blocked by others. So those components will have to be also evaluated. Now that one will have the help of not just the Office of Construction, the Real Estate, and the Office of Worship, but WBMB, My Spirit of Fam, and other agencies or institutions that are specialized in sound, lighting, and projection. So that would be the second one. In that regard, I think we're doing rather good. The fact that our projector is towards the side, not in the sanctuary area. The fact that we have enhanced lighting. If you notice, there's a spotlight now on the altar, spotlight here in the back. Sounds, it sounds pretty good, although every Wednesday I have to adjust it. Quite a frustration, but can you hear me all right? Okay, sound is good. Perhaps what about the lighting in the sanctuary area? Can you read your devotionals where you sit? Those are all components of light visual, and sound that will have to be considered. And then the third recommendation, and here I am pretty excited about. Now I speak not just as a priest, but also as an artist. So my background in art, I actually studied at USF Fine Arts before I went to the seminary. And many of you may already know I'm an artist. I paint, I draw, I sing, I dance. I'm quite an artistic person. That comes with being raised with 6 sisters. So they made sure I was a dancer. Otherwise, it was them dancing with the mop. Anyways, so coming back to the artistic side. So this third one, it's of great interest for me, and I wonder how will that be implemented throughout the diocese. The third one, putting into action, says, recommend, incorporate, and if appropriate, replace religious artwork to communicate and celebrate Catholic Church historical significance and belief. So, I've been in 9 parishes through our diocese, and I've seen a little bit of everything. And sometimes I wonder, why is that artwork here or there? So, I'm sure diocesan-wide there will be a whole evaluation of artwork that is used within the liturgy. Is it enhancing the liturgy? Is it an obstacle to the liturgy? Is it a distraction? Now, I'm going to put some of my own input here. It's not what is written in the booklet, just for the record. This is my own artistic, priestly guidelines that I have used when I've gone to the diverse parishes that I've been at in regards to evaluating artwork. One, these are components that must be taken in consideration when evaluating an artwork within a liturgical celebration. One is theological value. Does it speak of the truth that we as Catholics believe in? What is their theological value? If it does not communicate any truth or any theological value, then why do we have it? So that's one point. Second point, historical significance. Is this something of historical value for that parish? Is that an art piece that has been with that community from their very beginnings? Is it part of the design when they built and designed the original church, and part of the history that's been carried out from generation to generation within the parish community? So historical value is of importance. Too often, because things may have gone out of fashion, may be discarded, which is a great violation to the historicity, the history and the tradition of a community of faith. And we went through some of those traumas with the Second Vatican Council, people misinterpreting the guidelines of the Vatican and beginning to remove statues, and well, that's a different story. So historical significance is something to be considered. The third one, aesthetical value. Is it beautiful or not? Beauty is one of the transcendentals. Beauty inspires us to transcend it. And the reverse is also true. Something that is not beautiful can become an obstacle to transcend it, to enhance the liturgy. There are many fashions, artistic expressions that are throughout the history of our human race. Not all artistic expressions are appropriate for a liturgy. So if it doesn't communicate a theological value, or it doesn't have an aesthetical value, then it should be considered to possibly even be removed. Now, in regards to the aesthetical value and the aesthetical quality, is also important. Too often I see prints in churches. As part of the religious aesthetic of a church, it should be original work, not prints in papers. It should be a quality artwork, and ideally, even if it's the original work itself. Print, that could be okay for a home or for an office building, but for a church, it should be of the top quality because the Lord deserves the best. So quality and the aesthetical value in regards to quality. Another one is also what I call consistency, integrity of style or of composition. You see, often you go to a church and you almost get this potpourri of different styles and all heading towards different theological perspectives or styles or expressions, and you fail to see some form of cohesiveness, some form of oneness. And that's always going to be a challenge because we are a universal church. So when you open it up to the universe, there are many different styles, very universal. But at the same time, we are the one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. We're one. So how do you manage that? Good luck, because that's an ever-going difficulty when evaluating artwork. Is that too much potpourri of many styles? Does it have something that brings it together in an integrated, consistent way? For example, before I go to how we've done it, how I've done it in this parish, let me finish with some other principles. The fifth principle that I will suggest also is practicality, applicability. Is it realistic? I would love to have a Rembrandt here, or a statue of Michelangelo, or a fresco but can we afford it? Well, you have to be practical. We might not be able to afford it. We might have to go with another artist. So the practicality of it, but also in regards to space. Now let's start using the example of our parish. Our sanctuary area is rather small. If I start bringing artwork that make this small piece too crowded for the main celebrant to walk around, then that's not practical. It may be beautiful artwork or beautiful decoration, but if the main celebrant has to struggle to walk around through vines and flowers and decorations and posters, nothing against what we've done so far. Everything we've done is good. Just breathe, relax. But it's a component, it's a practical, it's applicable, it's a work for the day-to-day activities of our parish. Now, having given you those 5 principles, my own principle, that's not from the diocese, as a priest and artist, historical value, well, let me go in order. Theological value, historical significance, aesthetical value and quality, consistency, and applicability. I also want to give you 3 warnings. And by the way, I'm recording this, so this is applicable to us, but throughout the whole diocese as they begin to listen to this. 3 warnings. Careful about the sacred cows. Sometimes something that does not follow all the criteria is kept in the church because it's a sacred cow. That if you take it away, someone will be insulted. Someone may walk away from the church. Someone may stop giving money to the church because that came from so-and-so, that meant so-and-so. But that may mean something to someone. But think bigger picture. Community of faith. So speak to the whole community, not just to individuals. So sometimes there are sacred cows that were donated by X and Y huge benefactors that now they consider a sacred cow. You can't even touch it because the repercussions of criticism that will come because of touching a sacred cow, and now we're worshiping golden calves that are being placed upon the sanctuary. So careful about that one. Another warning is about repetition. One cross is enough. One image of Mary is enough. One symbol should speak for itself. Repetition does not necessarily help to bring the theme. It just overburdens the eye and the liturgy. And one guiding principle for the liturgy is do not repeat symbols. If there's one cross, let that be the cross. If you have one image of the Blessed Mother, let that be the image of the Blessed Mother. If you have a representation of a saint, then just have one representation of the saint, not 20 different statues of the same saints. So careful about the temptation of repetition. And the third warning that I will give is something may be popular now, but not later. So this is go back to the aesthetical value and quality of artwork. When an art piece is placed into the religious space, into a liturgical space, we have to make sure that it has longevity. Is it something that is cool right now, but 5 to 10 years from now we'll be like, what we were thinking of? So we have to think long term and careful about passing phase, what's popular now, and then it ends up not being popular, and then you're stuck with a sacred cow that you can't touch. So some of the things that we've done, if you've been paying attention at our parish, for example, which has come with great critiques by many and still echoing in the present moment, is there is a risen Christ here in the back. That's part of the history of St. Rita. That image of the risen Christ has been with us for 111 years. So that has historical value. It has theological value. It has aesthetical value. And also a composition value, because that same style of artwork is the one that is used in front of this anvil, in front of the altar. Same style of art. So at one time there was a crucifix, although in my preference, I would prefer to have a crucifix in the sanctuary area, but I have to respect the history and the value that it has for the local community. So if the risen Christ is what's been in this sanctuary for 111 years, who am I to change that? So there was a beautiful crucifix, which I dearly love and of great aesthetical value, but when we have the crucifix there, then you have another crucifix over here. Now you have repetition of symbols. So what have we done? We've enhanced this crucifix, which is of historical value, because this is one of the crucifixes that came from the beginnings of our community of church that now has been remodeled, thanks to the work of our sacristan and Dave, who have heightened the beauty of it by putting a background. But this cross is the original processional cross, which follows the same theme as the one in the altar, the one in the anvil, and the one in the risen Christ. So following the same consistency of style, respecting the history of the church, having theological value, avoiding repetition is the reasons why you see the changes that I've done. I hope that happens throughout the whole diocese, because it does help enhance not just how we celebrate, but also the fact that we are the Catholic Church, and part of our values is history. We're not just a little garage church in the corner with a pastor that may start now and then tomorrow is gone. No, we come from a tradition and we contribute into a tradition. So with that, I've given my speech in regards to the first priority, which is we place God first in all things. The second, we're still in goal number 1 throughout the diocese, will make all Sundays sacred Mass by emphasizing the importance of the celebration of the Eucharist. Yesterday we spoke about the call to conversion 1, which is to evaluate how we do liturgy. And today we cover not just the liturgy itself, but that which is around the liturgy, the space, the symbol, the sound, the visual, all that will hopefully, if we all move forward, will enhance the liturgy and enhance our participation in it. So I finish by asking for St. Cecilia's intercession, whom we celebrate today, patroness of musicians, and in many ways, patroness of artists. May through her intercession we experience an evaluation which will call for conversion, but also a renewal of the art as a means to help us transcend, as a means to lead us to beauty. May that be a moment of renewal within our church, and may it be inspired through the intercession of Saint Cecilia.